Kevin Jennings has battled through a season-long ankle injury and has valiantly led SMU back to the precipice of the ACC Championship game. But I think he can be even better in 2026.
You are Locked On SMU, your daily podcast on the SMU Mustangs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Locked On SMU, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day, and now the #1 sports podcast network that is out there. We are Locked On SMU, where we cover the Mustangs football, basketball, and, whatever other relevant sports topics are out there in SMU athletics. My name is Grayson Singleton, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So download the FanDuel app today to get started with FanDuel, and we'll tell you more about them later on in the show. But coming up in the show today, I've seen a lot of y'all's comments in the YouTube saying that, man, 2026 is going to be our year. Maybe, but you got to go as far as you can this year. I'll tell you why that is. Plus, the bye week yielded some balance for SMU. That was absolutely outstanding. We'll talk about that to close up the show as well. But first, I've also seen a lot of comments about Kevin Jennings. And man, KJ is going to be so good in 2026. And by the way, I agree with you. But let me tell you why that is something that is worth digging into. So Kevin Jennings this year has seen a bump in productivity. He's seen a bump in efficiency, but he's also seen a bump in some of the intangibles. Poise, leadership and command of the offense, right? Those types of things that you just need more than one season as a starter to be able to actually have. And you see in the way he galvanizes everybody around him. You see in the way he commands a huddle. You see in the way he operates the offense that this is my first year that I'm really in control. And I told you that was going to happen. I told you that was going to happen in the offseason because he had the entire offseason to be the entire focal point and the entire attention of the coaching staff, getting this dude ready to lead our offense. So this to me isn't surprising. What's going on isn't surprising to me in any way, shape, or form. And the numbers back this up, right? Passing yards are going to be up. He threw for 3,200 last year. That's going to be up. Completion percentage is up 61 from 65 last year. Touchdowns, he's already surpassed his total from last year. 24 right now, 23 a year ago. Throwing fewer interceptions for now. He's 2 fewer interceptions. And his passer rating is right around there. Now, obviously, the big number that hasn't jumped up is the rushing total, but we all know the reason for that. Exactly how good has Kevin Jennings been this season? When you look at passing yards in the entire country, by the way, the only Power 4 quarterbacks who have thrown for more passing yards than Mr. Kevin Jennings are Sawyer Robertson, Darian Mensah, Jaden Mayava, who throws it a million times a game anyway, Josh Hoover, who does the same, and Joey Aguilar. So in terms of P4 quarterbacks, Kevin Jennings is 6th in the country in passing yards. Now, there's others like Drew Mestemaker at North Texas who leads the country in passing yards. What about passing touchdowns? Kevin Jennings with 24. It's good enough for 12th. It's good enough for 12th, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 most. He's tied with a bunch of people, obviously. In terms of passer rating, right? In terms of guys who have, and ESPN doesn't sort this out, but in terms of guys who have thrown, let's just say 300 passes this year, who is better than Kevin Jennings? Julian Sayin. Okay, let's make it 250 because there's going to be some names that are dropped off here that need to be in this list. In 250 passes, Julian Sayin, Fernando Mendoza, Diego Pavia, CJ Carr, Dante Moore. Again, in terms of Power 4 quarterbacks, Carson Beck somehow, that's wild. Joey Aguilar, Marcel Reed, Jaden Mayava, Dylan Raiola right on that cutoff. So he is up there, like Ty Simpson's there as well, and Kevin Jennings is just slightly ahead of Arch Manning, who just won AP Offensive Player of the Week. Kevin Jennings is up there with the elite that we talk about in terms of quarterbacks in the ACC. But here's why he'll be better next year. He'll be better next year because it'll be year 3, really year 2 as a full-time starter in the same offense. The coach is coming back. It's going to be the same offense. And he won't have a busted up ankle. Like, I will give you this. I'll give you this right now. It is not hyperbolic for me to think that given third year as a starter in totality, he started most of 2024, so we'll count that. Given continuity with the coach and play caller, given rested up from an injury, and they're going to put a pretty good cast of characters around him. It is not hyperbolic to think Kevin Jennings could be in the Heisman conversation in 2026. I don't think that's hyperbolic to think. You're in the Power Four. You're already coming off potentially back-to-back trips to the conference championship. Who knows if they win it this year, right? So you already are going to have team success, okay? Numbers, Kevin Jennings can put those up, especially if he's healthy. I mean, earlier on in the season, the Heisman favorite to win after week 2 or 3 was a dude who transferred from Washington State, okay? Back then, that was John Mateer, right? Fernando Mendoza, who is at Indiana, is the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy right now. I don't think a quarterback in a Power 4 conference from SMU is outlandish to say that if he gets better, let's say Kevin Jennings gets better, right? Let's just give it like a, 50% increase with some of these things. So that means he has a completion percentage of 68, 69. That means he'll throw for about, let's just say 4,200 yards. And let's say he accounts for, what is he accounted for right now? 24 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. Okay, so let's say that gets to about 40. If you're a Power 4 quarterback and SMU loses 1 game, maybe 2, there's a Heisman candidacy right there. Like, I don't think I'm over my skis. I don't think I'm being a homer. I don't think this is wishful thinking. That is a Heisman type season right there. That's a Davey O'Brien top season right there. Because we're talking about efficiency, output, and scoring, man. And then if you're able to combine it with team success and get yourself back to the college football playoff, you would have to be a hater to disagree with that being a Heisman type season. Right? Now, I know you see group of 5 quarterbacks do it, but you're not going to give the Heisman to a group of 5 quarterback. This is a Power 4 quarterback here. So, all in all, the assertion that a lot of people make that, fully healthy, maybe SMU can be even better next year, which we'll talk about in a second. Kevin Jennings could be an even better quarterback. Absolutely, he could be an even better quarterback because he's doing what he's doing now on one wheel, completing 2/3 of his passes, give or take, in the tops in the country in passing yards. He's taking, relative care of the football. The offense completely runs through him, and it's doing really good things. And a lot of times, he makes the plays to keep the offense on schedule. Right? He has gotten better from last year to this year. He's gotten more comfortable from last year to this year. So who's to say that increase can't happen from this year to next year? Like, the progression is there for him to do it. It absolutely is there. And look, earlier on in the season, I didn't say he was a top 10 quarterback in the country. We may have to revisit that at the end of the regular season. But can he certainly be a top 10 quarterback in the country next year? Oh, you betcha you know what he can. He absolutely can be. So if you watch Kevin Jennings now, and he's coming off of great performance after great performance after great performance, leading the team time and time and time again. If you watch that and say, oh, this dude might be better next year, I think you're right. I would concur with that. And I just gave you my case why. If you just give a little bit increase from this year to next year, you project that, you're talking about somebody who's in the Heisman race, given SMU wins football games next year. Given that SMU is probably going to have to be a double-digit win team, but given that, absolutely, there is a potential Heisman candidacy out there for Kevin Jennings. I imagine that once we get to that time of the year where people start putting their dark horses for the Heisman, his name will be on the list. I will say that on November the 25th. He will be on some type of list like that. Coming up next, we talked about Kevin next year, but here's why SMU's got to get it done this year. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or just want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on literally everything, including from who's going to score next to a fourth quarter comeback. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. It just keeps everything exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. And you know, when I like to do things like this is when I'm in the stadium betting on games, because it just adds a little bit of something, gives me something to talk about with other fans around me and even my friends that have come to the game with me as well. I love to do that when I'm in the place. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, welcome back to the show. Grayson Singleton here on Locked On SMU on the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen. And remember, we are the #1 sports podcast network that is available. Appreciate you tapping in with us. Hey, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at Locked On SMU. And while you're at it, man, give me a follow on Twitter, Gray_Singleton2 as well. I post little clips from our shows and love to interact with all of you in the comments as well. So let's talk about why SMU, I think, has to get it done this year. And my answer to this, and I see this in the YouTube comments a lot. I see it about maybe 3 times a week where people say, man, I'm so glad we're doing good this year, but man, just wait till next year. And I always think, not so fast. And the reason you can say not so fast to this is because in a world of college football where you're going to have graduate departures and you still will run up against, eventually, you'll run up against eligibility constraints, and the fact that people turn over rosters like that, right? It's one of those things where tomorrow's not promised. Like, that's the concept you have to look at college football with and say tomorrow's not promised, because you have no idea what everybody's going to look like. Like, tell me this. Miami came into the year as the number 10 ranked team in the country in the AP, in the preseason poll, right? They had lost a quarterback who was the #1 overall pick in the draft, okay? Usually, you don't run up against a guy right after that, a dude who could potentially play Heisman level football. Now, obviously, Carson Beck didn't do that. But take them, for example. Take Indiana in 2024, for example, right? A team that we had no thought of when it comes to football, but Kurt Cignetti comes over, used the transfer portal to bring over a bunch of guys that he knows he needs, and boom, Indiana is what Indiana has become in 2024 and 2025. Oklahoma, 6-7 last year. They will likely be in the college football playoff this year. Why? Largely because of the transfer portal. So you can rebuild a roster in a year, yes. And the counterpoint to this, to all of this is, well, can't you even improve your roster in an offseason? That is true. But it also is available for other teams to build rosters that jump yours. So that's not necessarily something that I think is a negative to SMU. It's the reality of the landscape that you don't know what you're going to go up against next year. Like in the NFL, you do. In the NFL, you're like, okay, this guy's going to be under contract. This guy's going to be under contract. Maybe they'll cut him, trade him, whatnot. We'll make some, fine additions to fine-tune things on the outskirts of the team. But we know what the nucleus is going to be. That's not the case in college football anymore. So if you're SMU, and you're thinking, well, or if you're an SMU fan, let me say that better. If you're an SMU fan, you're thinking, man, we just got next year, Kevin's going to come back, but you don't know what's going to be around him. You don't know how are we going to replace guys who run up against graduation and are out of eligibility. And then what does Miami do in the portal with their gobs of money, right? What does a team like Georgia Tech do now that they feel like they're real close? What do they do to make themselves even better? You see what I'm talking about here? This is why you're not necessarily wrong by thinking, what can we be in 2026? But you got to take care of business going up against what you know right now. And what you know right now is that we have to play a Cal team who just fired their coach. And then we will likely, I'm going to say likely, get Virginia in the ACC Championship game, which would be a matchup that nobody thought was going to be the case this year. But again, it just goes to show how unpredictable this sport is now, year over year, because of NIL and money and the transfer portal, which, by the way, I think is a good thing. Okay, so you got to stay focused on the here and now, even if you're a fan. I know the football team, I know the coaching staff is. I'm not talking about them. As a fan base, you got to want to squeeze everything out of the here and now as you can, because you have no clue what the landscape's going to look like 8-10 months from now. Right. So what you know now is you're playing Cal. If you win that game, you might play Virginia. And then if you win that game, you're back to the college football playoff for the second time in your 2-year existence in the Power Four. That's what you've got to take care of now. If you want to say, okay, if you want to say coach is coming back and has been re-signed, or extended rather, recruiting is fantastic. We're going to sign a pretty good class. We're going to sign a top 25 class in the country. Our quarterback's going to come back. Our DC is likely going to come back. And we've got the money to make sure that our nucleus is surrounded by quality players. Then you might be right. Then you're on a good track of thinking. Because, okay, now we're projecting what we have in terms of resources to be able to win in this new landscape. I'm not going to fight you on that. I'm absolutely not. But from a football perspective, they got to take care of business on Saturday and then go take care of business on next Saturday and then go take care of business wherever they land in the college football playoff, because that's how you got to operate. That's absolutely how you have to operate. But I don't think, and to the point where, given the uncertainty of who's going to be on rosters, not just yours, but everybody else around you, I mean, good God, the coaching carousel too. We haven't even seen. This is going to be the most chaotic year. This is going to be the most chaotic year of the transfer portal to date, because the coaching carousel has not even sorted itself out yet. And the big ticket item, Lane Kiffin, still hasn't figured out where he's going to be coaching next year. That is going to throw a lot of things in flux. There's a lot of schools that are ready to spend a ton of money on a roster, but all the coaching movement has to happen. So right now, there's just so much unpredictability with what's going to happen in a month to look ahead and say, next year, because you don't really know what next year is even going to look like. Even for SMU, you don't know what your roster is going to look like either. You know your coach is going to be back, and that's a really good starting place. I'll tell you that. But if you're SMU right now, if you're an SMU fan right now, 2025 still has some good things to bring. You still could be raising some hardware in 2025. Let's get it done this year. And then once the portal happens and the guys get on the campus that are in the 2025 class, or 2026, excuse me, then we can start talking about next year. That's the way I look at it. Coming up next, I noticed out of the bye week, SMU had some real balance on offense. We'll talk about that to close up the show. All right, welcome back. Closing up the show here on Locked On SMU. And one of the things I noticed about SMU coming out of the bye week, and I've talked about this before, man, but they looked so prepared, and they had a really good plan of attack for Louisville coming out of this bye week. Like, I know Louisville was shorthanded, and a lot of it, some of it due to injury, freak accidents, but also we know Louisville's had a disappointing season, so read between the tea leaves on that one. Right. But still a really good team. Still a good team, and you came out and it looked so fluid, man. Like, they looked so fluid. They looked like, all right, we know what we're going to do. We know what our plan of attack is, and boom. They executed at a high level. And the bye week looked rejuvenating, right? And it looked no more rejuvenating than to the offensive line in the run game, right? The run game looked like it had some bounce back to it. SMU ran the ball for 5 yards carry. And that includes, by the way, the one time that Kevin Jennings was sacked. So they did a really good job in that area. 90 yards on 18 carries for TJ Harden. Shoddy Clayton-Johnson had 5 carries for 62 yards. All in all, in total, 36 carries for $178. Job well done. But 36 carries on 39 dropbacks as well. Oh, you know what that's called? That's called some real balance right there, man. And I loved, this goes back to preparation over the bye and coaching, right? I loved how I didn't know what SMU was going to do. Not just down to down, but drive to drive. What's this going to look like? Are we dropping back? We doing RPO? We're running the football. We're optioning. Are we quick hitting? We're going to try to stretch the field a little bit. Like, they did a lot of really good things coming out of the bye week in terms of making sure that they were multidimensional and the defense never had a beat on what they were going to do. That's coaching. That is coaching, and that is elite coaching. We talked about this during the bye week, if you remember. I said that the really good and great coaches with 2 weeks to prepare for you come out with a hell of a plan. Like, that is just emblematic of coaches who are excellent. They come out with an excellent plan when they've got 2 weeks to prepare. And Rhett Lashlee, A++ to you. Because whatever you planned for, it looked awesome. You ran the ball 36 times. You dropped Kevin Jennings back 38 times. There was also a drop back with Charlie Pfizer in mop-up duty. Like, that's almost 80 plays, and you were in the 52-48 range. Bravo to you. Like, that is some serious coaching. And it's going to pay off down the line. Because Cal, they're going to try to win this football game. They're going to try to play spoiler. There is value in playing spoiler. What do you prepare for? Yeah, you want to prepare for tempo, but what if SMU decides, hey, we're just going to huddle up like a you-know-what all game long, like they did against Louisville? What if they come out, run it down your throat, get 7 yards? All right, let's trot back into the huddle. And we're going to stay there for about 15 seconds, and we're going to shorten this game. It's kind of odd that SMU, with the way they played this game, still ran as many plays as they did. Right? But it's because, and you look at their drives, and this will be emblematic of it, 9-play drive for a touchdown, 7-play drive for a punt, 10-play drive for a touchdown, 7-play drive for another touchdown, 6 plays and then the half runs out, 8 plays and then a punt, 12 plays and then a field goal, 9 plays for a touchdown, 4 plays for a touchdown, and then their first 3 and out of the game when I believe it was Charlie Pfizer quarterback. Yes, it was. I mean, Lord. I mean, 7 plays, 6 plays maybe was your least amount. I know they had a 4-play touchdown, but that was the anomaly. I mean, that is, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to chew up time, we're going to control this game. You're talking about just a well-coached, well-scripted football game. I mean, that is some impressive stuff. When you look at balance, when you look at time of possession, when you look at running time off the clock, when you're looking at keeping your defense on the sideline and theirs on the field. I mean, that is some damn good stuff right there. That is fun football from a coaching standpoint. If you're Rhett Lashlee, that game could not have gone any better for you. Any better. Like, that is some seriously dope stuff right there that you could pull off. Because you don't see that a lot in college football. And I know I gave you the amount of plays, but this is the amount of time that was taken off the clock. SMU in the first quarter, their drives took up almost 8 minutes. Okay, actually over 8 minutes. Okay, so you won the time of possession there. You had a 5-minute drive, a 3-minute drive, and another 1.5-minute drive. So you took up about 11 minutes in the second quarter. In the third quarter, you took up you took up about 8 minutes on drives there. And in the fourth quarter, you controlled it again. Like, that is some seriously good stuff. That's some seriously good stuff there. And I bet if Rhett Lashlee goes back and watches that and, self-critiques his plan, he's like, this worked. I know coaches are always going to find a way to get nitpicky, to find ways to improve, as you should. You would love that from your coach. But if you go back to that, and I haven't seen Rhett's press conference after the game, I'll go back and look at that and have that for our Wednesday episode. But when you go back and look at that, you're like, well, that was good. We did what we were supposed to do, and we were efficient in doing it. 5 yards a carry, 2/3 completion percentage, didn't turn the football over. We played a hell of a game, and then the other team didn't score a touchdown. I know they're on their backup quarterback, but they didn't score a touchdown. That's some good stuff right there coming out of the bye week. And you were able to get some of your dudes a little bit of extra rest, a little head start on some rest before we go over to the West Coast, to Berkeley, to take on Cal in the regular season finale in a winner-in game to get to the ACC Championship game. That's all you can ask for a bye week, man. That is some really, really damn good stuff that was put on display by SMU and was started by the coaching staff in its preparation over the bye. Really good balance led to some really, really good results. All right, that'll do it for Locked On SMU here today. Thanks for making us your first listen. For your second listen of the day, make sure you check out Locked On ACC, our conference show that's hosted by Kenton Gibbs and Alex Dono, as they take you through all the intrigue of the ACC, through the rivalries and the championships, football, basketball. We know we love our ACC basketball over here too. They'll take you through all of it, so check that out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, just like you find this podcast right here. For Locked On SMU, I'm Grayson Singleton. Take it easy, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.